Please tell me I'm not the only mother who's lost it, flipped her lid, and had no idea how she got there, because that was me before I healed rage. I would be in a moment and I would question, how did I even get here? When did I become so frustrated? And then blame started happening. I started blaming my husband and my daughter, and it really was not their fault. It was a lack of knowing what was going on before the moment. And so today I'm going to share 5 not so obvious things that I believe will help you to control your rage. So let's just jump right into it, because I know what you're here for. You want to know the 5 things. So the very first sign that I think I realized early on in my healing journey was that I would get a really tight jaw. My jaw I would clench it. I'd be like gritting my teeth, or it would hurt, like up in this area, right in here. And I found that as I started noticing more signs, this would eventually, like, I could feel it down here and through my neck. And then almost like my throat was like closing in. I don't know how to explain that. Like, it's like every muscle from my neck, throat area up here was just tight and locked. And it was like this. And so that was actually one of the first signs that I ever noticed physically within my body. And so every time that I began noticing that specific symptom, I would stop what I was doing and I would use one of my rage calming tools. If you're interested in my rage calming tools, I have 14 of them, completely free. You can just comment rage below. It's an 8-minute long video, and I walk you through each and every one, show you how to use them, tell you how to get started. It's a very valuable, it's the video I wish I had when I was at the beginning of my journey, when I needed to calm down. So anyway, I would use my calming tool, and then usually that would take me, if you were looking at a thermometer and say 10 was flipping my lid, that would take me from like a 7 down to a 5. And it would at least help me to bring that prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of your brain, your logic. It would help to bring it back online. Okay, the second thing, I would notice extreme burning in my chest. Almost like my chest was in just this knot like this, right? Like it was just like, I don't know, and it was burning and it hurt, and it felt like, I don't know, it felt like fire was gonna come out of my mouth. If this is you and you're listening to this, you're like, oh my gosh, that happens to me, comment below, because it was very, very like, whoa, when I started noticing it. And this was definitely my second symptom that I would start to notice. And so what happened is, like I said, my first symptom was the jaw. Then I was like, as I was reflecting, I was like, oh my gosh, my chest gets really tight, and like I said, it feels like it's burning. And that then would lead me so maybe I'm noticing this feeling come on, and on my thermometer, I'm at like a 6 at this point, right? It is way easier to go from a 6 to a 4 than it is to go from like a 7 to a 4, right? So it's like the sooner we can notice these little tiny signs, the more control we can have over them. So anyway, that was my second symptom. My third symptom, which is gonna seem way less noticeable, but once you start noticing, you're like, whoa, that happens. I get really hot. Like, I feel like I need to go outside. I'm taking off a sweatshirt. I'm turning up, I guess, the AC. I'm going to a window and almost like a hot flash is the best way. My palms would get hot and sweaty. And what's interesting is this was happening way before, like sometimes 20, 30 minutes before I would start feeling that feeling in my chest, and before the jaw would even clench. And at this point, when I started noticing that I was feeling really hot and all of the things, I was like, okay, these other symptoms are going to be coming if I don't gain control right now, if I don't take control of this situation, if I don't choose the doorway. Because if we have two doorways that come up at this point, we're like, okay, I can choose this path, which is to rage and to lose it, or I can choose this path, which is to calm myself down, to calm everybody else down in the situation. And so it was easier for me to access that second doorway when I'm really at the beginning stages of noticing and feeling rage. So yeah, I find that like one of my favorite calming tools for when I'm really hot that I share in the rage calming tools, which comment rage below if you want them, but is just running my hands under cold water, like really cold water. And it was helping me to, again, bring on that prefrontal cortex to say logic here, logic. Because rage is visceral. It is something that is primal, and we need to learn how to exert that in a very healthy way, how to work through that in a healthy way. Because a lot of times when we are higher up on that thermometer, we need to have a very physical release. And so that can look like throwing pillows or yelling in a pillow. And I share all of these within those 14 rage calming tools. But we have to have a very physical response to be able to move through the rage. Whereas when we're at the beginning of the process, we're noticing these signs sooner, we're able to take deep breaths. I mean, if you're somebody like me who is like, deep breaths don't work for me, it's because you're too far along in your thermometer. So with that being said, the fourth thing that I started noticing is that I would start wanting to be alone. So I would feel like I needed to run away. I felt like I needed to get away. I needed to be by myself. I needed space. There were all these words that I would be using within myself. And this happened before I got hot, before my chest was burning, before I was feeling that tightness in my mouth and my jaw. And so when I notice now that I am wanting to be alone, I'm feeling very overwhelmed, right? And I'm wanting the space. Maybe I'm feeling touched out. This is a moment where I'm going, okay, I need to recenter myself. I need to calm myself down, to give myself what I'm needing, to notice, okay, right now I'm feeling angry. That is the feeling I'm having. And what am I needing? What is the need that goes along with that, which is something I talk a lot about here, but that is a very much a nonviolent communication. What am I trying to call this? A framework, I guess. So the last thing, number 5, that I notice very early, very, very early on is the blaming. I mentioned this very early in this video, but the blaming. I start blaming my kids. I start blaming my husband. I start blaming the community. I start blaming the person next door. I'm blaming to get rid of the feeling, to try to make it go away, right? And to put it on somebody else. Because if it's not my fault, then it's their fault and it's their problem. They've got to figure it out, And so what I found is when I could start taking accountability for myself and saying, yeah, you know what? I am feeling angry right now and I'm needing, there's so many needs in this moment, but like I'm needing attention right now. I'm needing affection. I'm needing love. I'm needing a drink. I'm needing food. I'm needing sleep. Like there's all of these needs, not just like your basic needs. Like, I shared some basic needs there, but there are just, maybe I'm needing to be heard. Maybe I'm needing to be seen. Like, what is the need that is not being met? And it doesn't necessarily mean by a specific person, although it can be. Like, maybe I'm not feeling seen by my husband because we have 2 very little kids and we're running and we're going and it's constant go, 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 go. And maybe I just need to be seen, but maybe he can't give that to me in this season the way I'm used to. So now we have to figure out how to get this need met for me, which again, I share a lot more about in other videos, and I teach in coaching, which is what I help moms to do, is to help them understand how to identify these things and to also like see the patterns that you're not necessarily seeing inside your own snow globe. So anyway, all of this to say, these 5 not so obvious signs are going to help you to access rage way before, like infinitely before you are even going to flip your lid. Now, I want to remind you, just because these are my warning signs, these are my top 5 and kind of the order that they go in, doesn't mean this is going to be yours. And also, if you've never dove into this journey, if you've done no inner work yet, you may be totally unaware of what is going on physically within your body, within your mind. And so what I'm sharing today isn't a one size fit all. This is just happens to be the signs for me and my journey, but you might find that you have very similar signs and symptoms coming up. And so my best advice is to, after you have a flip your lid moment, to journal and reflect. Reflect as much as you can remember about your physical body, about what you were thinking, about what was going on, what was triggering for you. And again, if you want actual help, like a blueprint, this is what I do in coaching. And you can check all of that out. I have it all linked below. But anyway, yeah, I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions about rage, or you do want those rage calming tools, make sure you comment rage below. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want help with healing rage, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Alrighty guys, I hope that you have a good rest of your day and happy parenting.